I'm Cheri Rae, and on this segment of UDAYA, our food section, we're going to be talking about soaking and sprouting nuts and seeds. When you're at home or in restaurants, if you work in restaurants, please don't wear plastic gloves. You have something in your hands, they're called digestive enzymes, and you want to touch your food. You want to get your hands in your food and have that connection to your food. So that's what I really wanted to start with. Let's just talk first about what we have. We have cashews, sunflower seeds, almonds, raisins, dates, walnuts, and pumpkin seeds. What am I doing with all these things? What am I going to do with this? I'm going to make live, plant-based living cheese out of the cashews. Sunflower seeds, a really deep, delicious Alfredo. The almonds, almond milk, and then turn the waste that people would normally throw away into cookies. Walnuts into a pesto, as well as my taco meat. I'm gonna make a sunflower seed walnut taco meat, which also goes with the raisins. That's one of my really big secrets, is soaked raisins in my taco meat with cumin and coriander, all kinds of herbs and spices. And then finally, the pumpkin seeds. We could also do a pumpkin seed pesto. We could do a walnut, pumpkin seed, sunflower seed taco meat. We could do just a pumpkin seed taco meat. I mean, the possibilities of these 5 choices of seeds and nuts are sustainable. You don't ever need to consume an animal product again. And that's what I'm here to share with you is I grew up in a family, Italian family. We ate enormous amounts of meat, calamari, gnocchi, cheeses, and I lost my family at a very young age, all of them, to different diseases that we see very prevalent today, cancer being the first, diabetes, addiction to food, and depression. Those are all diseases. And what I'm gonna share with you is the number 1 cure for these diseases is water. We are made of, some people, if they're smaller women, could be 60% water, all the way up to a large man, 75% water. And not just regular water, salt water. So you will see me use in my food a lot of Himalayan salt specifically, I'll get into that later, and water. My food has high levels of water content. And what makes food living plant-based food, once again I'm going to repeat, live, organic, visionary evolution, that's the name of my food. It's alive. Everything that I make is still moving. It has living enzymes. When food is cooked over 118 degrees, we start to lose our enzymes in the food. And I can bring up some history and some doctors later on in talks, specifically Cornell University, a man named Colin Campbell who wrote the China study and proved. That's what really forced me into studying. I'm going back to medical school right now for a degree in food science so that I can actually speak from a place of medicine and science, which I already am doing, but then I'll have a degree at the end of my name. So what I do is, and this is so fast, I don't even think about this. This one, number 1, he takes the longest. These are almonds. They are 18 hours to come back to life. They're not alive and when you saw them a minute ago. These are all dormant. So why do we put water on our food? And it really has to be underwater, just a bit. See, by halfway through the night, these almonds are going to swell up, and what's gonna happen? They're gonna sprout like a seed. This is how we grow food in gardens. We soak our seeds and then we wait for them to open a little bit. And at different times, we put those things into the earth. And we have much success when we start them in our homes first and we care for these. And then we're gonna go over here. These guys are the fastest. You're talking about 2 hours. Look how little they are. So tiny. And what do I mean by alive? They become instantly assimilatable in the human body. And I don't like to disrespect any doctors in the past, but there was a doctor named Dr. Atkins, if you remember him. And his number 1 talk was on protein for people. And he diagnosed and prescribed a large amounts of protein and cheese and bacon and things of that sort. He ended up dying because he shut down his own liver and kidneys and gallbladder, failed from too much protein. So there really is a balance in life, just as there is living in harmony with the accordance of the laws of nature. That's what I do. That's what this food is about. It's about going way back in time and taking care of ourselves. Cashews, 5 to 6 hours. Boom. And I gotta tell you, those are the hours that these things last. I have them in my refrigerator for days. I just have them at all times, they're soaking. So I don't have to wait for anything. I don't wanna wait, I'm starving. We're all looking for convenience and speed, right? We all have busy lives. This is about the fastest food you're gonna find. Plant-based living foods. Pumpkin seeds, 5 hours. If you forget any of these things, I'm gonna put a chart up on UDAYA.com, a nut and soaking chart, as well as you can always Google, okay? Walnuts, 5 hours. Raisins, really fast because they're already somewhat wet. And these things, they've just been dehydrated. These have been dried, hopefully by the sun, not by machinery. And now I'm waiting to pour this water on the dates because I have a really big secret with dates. Dates, figs, raisins, anything that's a dehydrated fruit. I'm very lucky to live in a place where I have access to coconuts. So a long time ago, I had ran out of my clean water I used from mineral springs, and I had a bunch of coconuts. And I cracked open the coconuts, and I poured coconut water on my dates. And in the morning, I came in back to my kitchen, and there was a syrup at the bottom of my dates that was so thick and so amazing. And it's called date syrup, but we do it millions of different ways. You can soak it in anything. You can soak it in wine if you drank wine. You could soak it in water if that's what you have available. And that water that we have just created is going to be syrup. It's going to be like maple syrup. And this can be, these two guys can be used as sugar substitutes. So we're going to talk a lot about that when we make cookies and pies and all that stuff. So that's your lesson right now on how fast it is to have this stuff readily available in your home. And we're gonna turn them into fantastic, fantastic foods. So there's your lesson today on soaking and sprouting nuts and seeds. Okay, sometimes I have a lot of female clients that absolutely love my pies, love my ice cream, and I'm pointing to the cashews because they're used with cashews. But what I've done is I've taken the cashews out of things. So most raw food chefs, they call themselves raw food chefs. I call myself a plant-based living artist. Very different. Raw is a little bit confusing because some people eat raw meat, raw fish, raw chicken, raw dairy. So that's a raw chef. This is a plant-based living chef. And I've noticed in most of these restaurants, people use a tremendous amount of cashews. And what you'll find is a bit of a tummy ache when you leave. You're having a cashew cheese, a cashew ice cream, a cashew chocolate cacao pie, a cashew sauce, because they're so wonderful. Cashews are so amazing. They act just like that rich, heavy, wonderful cheese that we all grew up with. But a great thing to do is switch to pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds, okay? Don't stay away from them, just use them. I only use them when I want to wow my family and when I want to turn people into plant-based living foodists. That's what'll get them. It's so rich. Then, your sunflower seeds, you can use those more for your Alfredo sauces and just dehydrate them. And I call them salad toppers. When you take nuts like this and they've all been soaked, you put them in, you strain them, and then you put Himalayan salt on them, pepper, herbs, spices, whatever you love, chiles, honey, cinnamon. I mean, you can go in any direction with a seed or a nut. Put them in your dehydrator. When you go to bed, you wake up in the morning, all of them will be dry, and you'll have things that you can keep in your purse. It's an instant food. You're not eating at a gas station. It's such an intelligent thing to do. And then almonds, while we're talking about that, you know when you go to a gas station, we've all done it, and we're starving. Almonds are something I keep in my car, soaked, sprouted. By morning, these will be sprouted. Then we can put them in a dehydrator, and then on your way to work, you can grab a glass jar. Always carry your nuts and seeds in glass your dehydrated fruit in glass. It preserves the food. Plastic tends to leak into the food. The toxic materials that we all know plastic are made of will enter your food. So use glass. And then I'll throw on it in 5 seconds sesame oil, Himalayan salt, and I'm out the door. And I got a sesame Himalayan salt snack if I need it. If I don't have any food in the car or if I run out of food, I'm always prepared, okay? Walnuts. Nutritionally, we need to find out, and I can do that with you online via email, what you might be allergic to. Certain people are severely allergic to certain kinds of nuts. Do not discount all nuts because you might be allergic to walnuts, because you might not be allergic to pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds or Brazil nuts. They're unbelievable for your lungs. Walnuts are also, you ever opened up a walnut and looked at them? They look just like what? Lungs and brain. Guess what they feed? Your lungs and your brains. This is amazing. This food is just magic to me. And then the last two things, once again, are these raisins. I didn't tell you the time on those. You can soak the raisins and the dates. In about 3 hours, you'll start to feel them soften up like the ones here at the bottom. And the reason I always have a soft date readily available, smoothies in the morning, pies, ice cream, they'll still blend like this in your blender. See how hard they are? But they're not going to blend so smoothly. And that's what you're going for when you're making key lime pies, cacao pies. You want it to be so smooth. You don't want people to go, oh, that's a date in there. And another thing, the last most important thing, and I stress this to all my employees, I go through my dates with a fine tooth comb. Look at this. Look at this. I just felt it. That's what made me think of it. That guy right there will break your tooth. And you don't want that responsibility if you're a restaurant owner as well as a wife. The dental bill will be atrocious. So you want to open up all your guys and feel them and make sure you get all those seeds out. Date pits are the most dangerous, okay? And you can also just say to your family, say, hey, I may have missed a date pit. Can we suck on the pie a little bit? Can we enjoy the pie and not swallow it whole? So those are my warnings on that, and those are my warnings on cashews. Just know that there are other things to use that are less calories and equally as nutritious and surprisingly tasty. Storage. What do we do with all these beautiful things? How do we store this perfect food? Well, because I do live in Los Angeles and I am under the jurisdictions of the Health Department of the United States of America, we have a very large rule, which I do agree with. It's keeping everything at 41 degrees, 42 degrees Fahrenheit. We start to lose our food when it stays out, but seeds and nuts, when they're sprouting and they're soaking, they can be left out, but you do have to get to them in the morning. With the amount of time, it takes 18 hours on this, 2 to 3 hours on this, 5 to 6, 5. The dates and the raisins I would definitely put in the fridge right now. And if I was not under the jurisdictions of the health department, I would leave them out all night long, because this is how we used to make food. This is how food used to be made. That's why I fell in love with plant-based living foods. After losing my family, I know it's crazy to think, how can I live my life without meat and cheese and dairy and all of this convenient, easy food? And now after I'm 29 years doing this, I don't even think that way anymore. It's just so simple. And sometimes when the food starts to get a little old, little dots on raspberries that are black, people throw those away. There's actually a mold that's good for you, bacteria that's good for you. But I know I shouldn't be telling you all that. I just want you to know the truth, that these things can be left out and they are safe for 24 hours. Then put them in the fridge. But because I run such a large establishment, I soak 50 pounds of nuts at night in giant containers, and they're always in the refrigerator. I just don't take a chance of cross-contamination or any airborne diseases. And I'm really specific about that. So I hope storage, that helps you to know how to store these beautiful foods.